It is often said in Senegal there can be no peace without understanding. Hello and welcome to it. You're watching #Africa. I'm Tutuzile Ramela. In the next 15 minutes, we'll be taking a comprehensive look at some of the stories that dominated headlines across the continent. We begin in South Sudan, where the plight of young girls has been thrust into the spotlight. This after a 17-year-old was sold to the highest bidder. A Facebook video of the incident has since gone viral, sparking global condemnation. The girl was sold to a man 3 times her age. Social media giant Facebook says the clip has since been taken down. Election campaigning is in full swing in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It comes after 2 years of setbacks. The campaign was launched by the president of the National Independent Electoral Commission in that country. Voters will next month get a chance to choose outgoing President Joseph Kabila's successor. He's been in power for 18 years now. And the United Nations has expressed concern about the deteriorating security situation in the Cameroon. There's been an increase in violence resulting in abductions and executions by armed groups. In a recent incident, 79 children were kidnapped from a boarding school by gunmen. The pupils have since been released. Let's get you more on that story now. And security forces this week rescued some students and a teacher in the Cameroon. I'm joined on the line by the Center for Democracy and Human Rights Director, Mr. Patrick Ayew. Patrick, always a pleasure chatting to you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. What is the situation in the Cameroon at this moment?
Thank you, Dudu, for giving me the platform. And the situation is worse. Things are deteriorating every day and night. There are mass graves happening. Apartheid-style staged kidnapping are taking place, being conducted by the military to paint or give the pro-independent activists a bad image for those who are trying to promote self-defense to protect communities from police and military brutality. So as I speak now, there are villages being burned. Yesterday, on the 21st, actually, a Kenyan priest was killed, was in Cameroon. And you talked about the kidnapping that happens in Kumba, wherein 11 people were kidnapped. And I can tell you that before the 11 that were kidnapped yesterday, 82 were also kidnapped in Presbyterian Secondary School in Kwen. And those 82s were part of the regime apartheid-style staged kidnapping to give a bad image to pro-independence activists. And those 82, the international media covered it, but they were not interviewed. They were smuggled out of their hidden hole that the government said they were being kidnapped. Now, how can you, 82 children being kidnapped by those they call terrorists, and you cannot allow those 82 kids to talk to the international media about their audience? You do not even want the media to talk to their parents. And yet you claim that these children were being kidnapped by terrorists. There is something wrong. What is happening is the apartheid-style staged kidnapping that the government wants to paint activists that they are actually terrorists, and they are not.
Patrick, at the heart of this is that the Cameroon is still divided along colonial lines. Are we making progress in bringing the two parties together, that being Francophone and Anglophone Cameroon, to come together so some sort of dialogue can take place to find a solution here?
There is actually no progress at all, and that progress cannot be made when a dictator or a strong regime that has been in power for a very long time is being pampered by international organizations like African Union or the United Nations and other stakeholders like ECOWAS that are very close to Cameroon. It can never happen because Biya has a strong syndicate that makes sure nobody speaks. Now in Cameroon, which is called Cameroons, 2 Cameroon coming together. The British Trust Territory and the French Trust Territory. They had their independence on different dates. French Cameroon had its independence in 1960, and the British Trust Territory, which is Southern Cameroon, 1961. They came together under a federated system of 2 countries of equal status, or 2 states of equal status coming together with 1 flag, but with 2 stars on that flag signifying 2 countries, 2 separate identities coming together in order to work well. But things went wrong when one side, which the majority, which makes 80% of the country, and the other side, which the minority, the one that makes 80% of the country, the French Cameroon, feels he is the only person that will rule, and the other side of the country doesn't have any rights. And that is what is happening. The earlier the government of Cameroon starts talking, putting everybody on the same platform, releasing prisoners, stopping extrajudicial killings, allowing international institutions like the Security Council to send experts to investigate atrocities, giving a platform for everybody, especially those in the diaspora who are really involved in this struggle, to have access to Cameroon, allowing everybody, giving amnesties to those that are concerned, enabling refugees in Nigeria to feel more comfortable to come back, because as it stands now, there are more than 250,000 refugees in Nigeria.
Patrick, as it stands, there's a blame game between government and separatists, both blaming each other for the kidnappings of the pupils at schools. This is a worrying trend. It seems as if it is growing. What to do in the situation where the most vulnerable are under attack?
What to do is that in terms of international law or international convention, there is an institution in place to intervene and force Cameroon government to allow third parties that are not involved in the struggle to monitor the situation and protect vulnerable people. But the government does not allow that to happen. And the United Nations is quiet, African Union is quiet. There should be institutions in place to investigate all these atrocities that are happening and put a stop to that. The world can do that if the world is actually serious. Without that, the blame game will continue, because the government will continue kidnapping children and making it as something that is really happening, so that as to canvass for international sympathy and actually blame those who are carrying out self-defense initiatives as to be terrorists. And therefore, the government, the international community will say, no, these people are really terrorists, and therefore we have to ban their movement or their activity or anything that they're doing. That is exactly what the Cameroon government is doing, so that it can have a leeway to crush all the Southern Cameroonians, so that that identity will cease to exist. And as it stands, there is a genocide going on, because the world keeps making error. You cannot put a conventional army at the same level with people with den guns fighting for self-defense, protecting their communities. It can never happen. So, but the world does that because of biopolitics. People are protecting their interests and saying separatists are fighting with the army. You cannot compare a conventional army with people who have no military expertise, with people using den guns to protect themselves or communities, with people trying to avoid their houses from being burned down by the military.
Okay, that was Center for Democracy and Human Rights Director Patrick Ayew. Always a pleasure chatting to you. Thank you very much for your time. Do stay with us after the break. A Moroccan woman allegedly kills her boyfriend and serves his remains to her guests. This story and more when #Africa returns.